welcome back to Nick Lenz Comic Corner Classic Non-Classics. This is episode number 2329 and Doubleshot number 2223. This one's going to be kind of an interesting one per se with this one because I'm discussing, well, in a way, 4 straight issues of Peter Parker's Second Spider-Man. Before I talk about these issues, I forgot to mention issue 85. That featured Return of the Hobgoblin as a one-off in that book. And I had thought for the longest time Hobgoblin was a character associated with Spider-Man, even though his debut was amazing. But no, he made a lot of appearances amazing, which I thought was kind of weird. Yeah. But that's simple. It is to talk about issues 86 to 89 of Peter Parker's Second Spider-Man. I'm also going to be discussing Spider-Man, the complete Alien Saga epic, book 1, and Ghost Rider, Volume 3, issues 26-27, X-Men, Volume 2, 9-13, 31-35, the annual for that book, the first annual, and Uncanny X-Men Annual 16. The reason why the Uncanny X-Men, why all those books in particular, those are kind of basically stuff that from 2 epic collections for X-Men, so I figured reviewing it that way as sort of basically a way to not have to worry about reviewing the trades themselves because they're like 1 or 2 issues at most because I read almost everything for it. But let's first talk about Peter Parker, this particular Spider-Man issues 86 to 89. The reason I discuss the issues is because basically, I just mentioned 85, so. And because the complete Able 7 starts issue 90, so I figured, why not start with these? You might be curious, though, what about the Mar Masterworks Second Spider-Man? It turns out that there is 2 more volumes to that one, but they're not on this website. So when I get to reviewing those issues, when I get to those particular stuff, I'm reviewing them basically what I'm going to do with Thor when I get to it, just individually for that book. Because I think it's like Volume 6 covers issues, I think it's like 64 to 79, and the following book is basically going to be like 80 through about 84. Yep. Alright, so this one we're starting out with 86. This is the Beware Assistant Editors Month. Yes, this weird idea, this goofy artwork. By the way, the whole issue is basically Spider-Man versus the Human Fly. Yes, because why not? It's a comedy issue. It lasted for 1 month, and I'm not going to discuss more because basically it's okay. And then basically now in issue 87, this is where Spider-Man reveals to Black Cat that he is Peter Parker. That's most of exactly what this issue is. Yep, but is there any like villain guest star issues in here? Aside from that character one per se, not really. Bites and thugs. Yeah, there's not really much going on in 87 aside from that really big character moment. This is where this is where Black Cat finds out Peter Parker is, well, Spider-Man. In the case, come on. Alrighty. Can we continue, please? Thank you. Okay, so in 88, we have Spider-Man and Black Cat fighting Cobra Mr. Hyde in issue 88. I'm like, that's interesting. Yeah, that's a really cool idea. Have these two fight these 2 characters. The issue started with Cobra breaking out Mr. Hyde out of like imprisonment, and they had to work together. And of course, well, Spider-Man and Black Cat are sort of in a romantic relationship. Now, apparently, Felicia Hardy didn't like the fact that he revealed his identity to her because he prefers the whole Man of Mystery stuff. Yeah, there's a bit of tension between them over this little fight, and basically then we lead into issue number 89. They sort of have a bit of a falling out with the relationship. Here we go. And then 89, basically, it's like, are they going to break up in this issue? Not really. Mostly put, basically, it's all about Felicia Hardy trying to get power, just like Spider-Man. Yep. So, she wants to get powers like him. There's also when Robbie paying a visit to Peter. They're like, oh crap, he's wearing his pants. They got to put on a robe. And he doesn't question why Peter's got a black eye or a bandage over his face. Then apparently, so Felicia needs powers, so she goes to his Avengers. They say no. Fantastic Four say no. So eventually, of course, she does in fact get her powers. Yeah, she gets powers. Bad luck powers. And they were given to her by the Kingpin of Crime. Yep. And because of this, she's in his debt. And of course, basically, that, well, here's kind of the thing. She tells us she will never harm Spider-Man. He's like, yeah, I know that, but we'll be in touch. Yeah. So basically, two of the premier superhero teams in the Marvel Universe turn her down and getting her powers, but then of course, then we have the issue end in a weird fashion. How is it? Well, it's Peter going to this particular thing get involved with Battle World, aka Secret Wars 1. Yes, interesting note that basically for Amazing Spider-Man 251, and in the case of this book in particular, that leads into that. Web of Spider-Man comes right after this one, so we'll get to that later. But in the case of those issues, they're really good. Love them. Now, in the case of basically the complete Alien Saga, the complete Alien Costume Saga, now this first book contains basically Peter Parker, the Spectral Spider-Man, issues, I believe it's 90 to, I think it's like 95. Well, first, you have material from Secret Wars for this issue. Well, this, of course, is the original Secret Wars, not 2015 version. They have basically of this stuff from that, and then we lead to the Amazing Spider-Man stuff. Now, the Amazing Spider-Man issues, by the way, the issues in here, Amazing Spider-Man, I believe it's issues 252 to 258. Not going to discuss issues because I discussed issues already thanks to Origin of Venom, so we're going straight to the very next issue here, which is basically Marvel Team Up, Spider-Man, Daredevil. It's Marvel Team Up, issue 141, where Spider-Man teams up with Daredevil and the Black Widow. This issue is basically co-written by two different writers, Tyler Falco and Jim Owsley, aka Chris the Priest. The artwork is done by Greg LaRocca. Yes, mostly put just Daredevil. It's called Blind Justice. It's more like basically a Daredevil issue that just happened with Spider-Man. Of course, they reference Secret Wars, and Tasha can basically beats up some bad guys. It's a really fun issue, and we also have her in her 80s, a costume that she had. Here is colored blue for some reason, despite the fact that Daredevil was colored gray. Yes, this costume only existed in the 1980s because every decade she gets a new costume. Like the 60s was the fishnet stuff. The 70s basically was more familiar costume, the all black with the yellow stinger. 80s was this. The 90s had a weird attire, and then by 2000s for some reason she was back to the 70s attire. Now, of course, this issue kind of takes place. We have it where it takes place during the during the events of 252, like they reference it. But because why not? And then we have issue 86, where this is just after Black Cat just got her powers. By the way, the issues of Spectral Spider-Man at this point in time were written and drawn by Al Milgrom. Yes. I'm not sure exactly why he was doing basically double duty on this book. And those of you are thinking, who is Al Milgrom, might ask? Well, he is a former artist who's actually still very much alive. Surprisingly, he's only in his 70s. He's also the co-creator of Firestorm. Yep. He had as inker for X Factor. He was the artist for West Coast Avengers. He was basically one of his biggest books was basically Peter Parker's Second Spider-Man. Which, if you're really curious, though, he came with the book with issue 67, and this is basically during his time as the book. Now, in the case of 1996, that was him basically writing an artwork. He didn't stop doing the writing for the book into issue 100. That was the last issue he did for the book. From 97, 99, we'll get to those in the review. He was just a sole writer. He didn't do the artwork. That was somebody else. Yes, in 85, 89, he did do the artwork for those issues. But I will talk about basically the other issues at a later point. But yeah, he's basically here with Black Cat getting her brand new power that she got in issue 89. Mostly put in the case of the Second Samurai issues, this is mostly for, and this is quite strange though, basically, here's kind of the thing with Al Milgrom. He basically had it where Felicia Hard became a supporting character in this book, not Amazing Spider-Man. I'm not sure exactly why. And then we have Felicia running to Peter Parker's landlady. It's mostly all about her. Of course, she looks for Peter Parker, obviously. The whole issue is focused on her, and then the issue ends with her running into Black Suit Spider-Man. Skipping over 253. You better think, okay, what's next? Probably Marvel team up. Yeah, the way this book is structured is that basically we have Amazing Spider-Man, Marvel team up, and then Spectacular. In issue 91, it's basically Black Cat and Black Suit Spider-Man versus the Blob and Eunice the Untouchable. Yep, so we have two characters from the X-Men comics pop up in this issue. Yep, of course, you have Felicia running away from her. Because she doesn't think it's really him, but... And of course, once again, we continue to reference Amazing Spider-Man 252. Yeah, and of course, Peter starts acting really weird in these issues thanks to the Venom symbiote. He also wearing these long sleeve shirts, no longer the usual casual attire he usually wears. He wears his like very, very fashionable, and of course, he fights out the Blob in this issue in particular. Yeah. And then moving on from 254, which deals with basically the fighting the Hobgoblin's battle van. Yeah, that's one thing I do appreciate to this Paragon. They actually do follow the previous stuff here. And I love the fact we have Jacqueline pop up in this issue too. But then we have issue 82, someone called The Answer. The Answer is this guy who was hired by the Kingpin to fight Spider-Man. And, of course, Black Cat. And, of course, Robbie gets basically pictures. Of course, well, he first gives it to Jameson, but he's supposed to give it to him first. But then after basically he gets, like, good pictures, gets good money, like, oh, clears. Oh, crap, basically broke. Bill, running away from his landlady, of course. Then he's contacted by Black Cat, and we run into The Answer. Yep, The Answer. That's the name of this guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this may have been his debut appearance. Well, they say this was his first full appearance, per se. Yes. He actually made his debut in issue 91. This actually was his first appearance. Yeah, and he's still around. Yes. Yeah, and he's here from issue 91 to 96 of this very book. He's here basically as a supporting character. Just checking something here. There we go. Okay. Alright, so this book had contained the 1995. But he does appear for one more issue, then he does not appear again until the Lethal Foes of Spider-Man miniseries. That was released in 93. That was his next appearance. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in case you're curious though, is the guy still around in the comics? Yes, he is. He made his most recent appearance in Amazing Spider-Man Volume 5, 19.HU. part of the Hunt historic. That was his most recent appearance to date. Is he dead? No. So, basically, they fight the Answer, and of course, basically, he's here for the rest of the time. And 142 teams up with, of course, Monica Rambeau. I think this was the first thing two ran into each other since the annual. I believe so, because most issues hang out in the Avengers. And this issue was done by Dave Michelini. Yep, same artist. Yeah, it's a really interesting issue. We have Monica Rambeau looking like this. I have read originally she was look like an actress at this point in time. Now, previously before this issue, she last appeared back in Avengers Annual 13. Of course, she's a member of the team. Let's see, who was the name of... She was based on an actress. I did read about that. Let's see. Let's see, because I read she's supposed to be based on like a real life actress. Okay, apparently she's supposed to look like Pam Grier. Yes, Pam Grier. You're thinking, really? They based it upon Pam Grier? Yeah, which at this point, I think she must be almost 40 by the time this character made her debut, because she made her debut back in 1982. Pam Grier was, at the time, 33 years old. Yeah, so that's why she looks like this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the thing with Monica Rambeau, now, our previous appearance, like I mentioned, was just in the Avengers Annual. This is basically her make a quick guest appearance in Marvel Team Up. Yeah, because she, like I said, she briefly appeared in Avengers. She also appeared in Incredible Hulk. Like when she also appeared in Incredible Hulk issues. For a few issues there. Mostly, like I said, Avengers. Well, technically, chronologically, I said it was actually Avengers Annual, but it actually was Avengers 244 was the previous appearance during the whole Wraith War stuff. It is interesting the fact that her next appearance after this one is in 245. Then I think next is the Annual. Yeah, then the Annual, and then in this book in particular, and after that she appears in the next issue too. Yep, next issue too with Star Fox. And then she's right back to Mighty Avengers. Yeah, it's basically a quick guest star spot here. Yeah, it's mostly starting team with her, and then of course the story leads into the very next issue, which I think they put it here. Yeah, they put that next. Because why not? Because it's a two-parter. It's a really fun two-parter. I at least got handed to Roger Stern. Did a great job writing this issue. Mm-hmm. Yeah, then basically do some warriors. And then pretty much wrap this two-party thinking, okay, is Particular Spider-Man next? No, it's Amazing. Yep. Amazing Spider-Man basically was all staying with the Puma. Yes, the Puma and the Red Ghost. For reasons. And after that is Marvel Team Up Annual number 7, where he teams up with Alpha Flight. Fun fact about this annual: this was the last annual ever released Marvel Team Up. You're thinking, really? Yes, really. This was the last one they ever released. And this is strange, though, that they released this annual just... Yeah, they released it basically during the last, year of the book. They released this thing, which is weird, to say the least. Not sure exactly why. Oh, by the way, the 255 issue. First appearance of the character Black Fox. Yep. Hilaire comes back in the issue featuring Silver Sable. Yep. Yeah, and basically, get this. It is mentioned this issue, this annual, that they fight the Collector, which according to the editorial note, the last time they basically appeared, was back in Avengers 119. Yes, 119. Well, that's the last time he basically fought in publicly anyways. Yes. Yeah. Well, kind of yes. Though he did pop up later on. Actually, I think it was in their book he said that. But yeah, he had not appeared very much over the years at this point in time. I mean, he only just made his debut back in issue 28 of Avengers. He appeared in issue 51, one issue of Iron Man. He popped up Avengers 119. And he appears for 2 issues of Incredible Hulk, which I think that was where I found out about that. And then he appeared for 3 straight issues of Avengers. Actually, 4. 2 issues of Contest Champions and this book, and then West Coast Avengers Annual. And then he became a recurring character in Silver Surfer, popped up Avengers again. He's still around. But this is a really fun annual. Sad though, last annual release Marvel Team Up. There would be a few more volumes Marvel Team Up after this one, but no more annuals. Yeah, and also the annuals have featured the Answer. Yes, the Answer pops up in this annual. Actually, I was actually in. I thought it was the annual. Nope, it was just Yep, it's in issue 93 as particular Spider-Man. Yep, so. Yeah, and then of course Peter just pays off his basically landlady like, Miss Miggins, got a small talk? Let me hear. Believe me, Miss Miggins, I never thought you'd occur to me. Here's your money. Cash. What? That's about time. What? Huh? What was that? It's just the alien symbiote. Yeah, he just paid off his rent. Which, yeah, that's a recurring thing when it comes to Peter Parker, is he always has to worry about his rent. Yes. And of course, Black Cat. Come on. I really don't appreciate doing that. Come on. Thank you. Alright. So basically, the book ends basically with like, oh, like. Well, the book ends with a cliffhanger with a corpse being taken from the morgue. What corpse it? Don't know. We'll find out soon. Next up we have is Marvel Team 144, which sadly, with the next book, basically will wrap up the series. But I'm not going to basically finish wrapping up Marvel Team. No, that's not going to happen for a while. The only volume I've actually fully reviewed is Volume 4, and that's because basically it looks like the one trade. Yeah, so Spider-Man teams up with Moon Knight this issue. And we have a different writer this issue. We have Carrie Barnett, still the same artist. Yeah, and of course they face a variant of the White Dragon this issue. Yep. Yeah. Well, actually, yes, the White Dragon's in this issue. He had last appeared back in Amazing Spider-Man 185. That was back in 1978. So this was his first appearance at this point in 6 years. And then after this, he would pop up in the second annual for 12th annual for Spectrum Spider-Man in 1992. roughly 8 years later. Why the heck would the White Dragon do this for? I have no freaking idea. Yeah, the thing with White Dragon is he's not appeared very much over the years. Yeah, basically 2 issues in Spider-Man. This issue, an annual for Web of Spider-Man, the 12th annual for Spectacular, pops up also in the next episode with Dark Reign, Mr. Negative, 3 issues of Web of Spider-Man Volume 2, and then 2 issues of Deadly Hands of Kung Fu as part of that mini-series, which basically, they kill him off in issue 3. Yeah, they kill off the White Dragon in issue 3. Not sure exactly why they kill him off there for, but they do. Also, Frenchie's here along with Philip Chang, which is a character from Amazing Spider-Man, who is still around. Yeah, he actually appeared in the most recent volume during Dan's last one. Because, well, actually, if you think, well, he actually at the 2-part appearance, he became a recurring character in the Spider-Man 2 issue. Well, actually, for quite a while. He last appeared in issue 78, and after this issue of Marvel Team Up, he next appeared in Amazing Spider-Man 326, which was released in 1989, roughly about 5 years later. And then here's the strange thing, though. His next appearance wasn't until Amazing Spider-Man Volume 4 in 2015. Yes, 2015. Yeah. Roughly, if you guessed it, 24 years later. Yeah, and he was a recurring character in that book into issue 31 when he was dropped from the book. Not sure why, but he was. Yep. So, yeah. We do with White Tiger in this issue. The White Dragon, excuse me. Yeah, and then, okay, so what's next? Psycho Spider-Man, where you have Spider-Man team up with Cloak and Dagger to take on Silvermane. Yep. Take on Silvermane here. No, not the first appearance. I'm about to discuss the first appearance later. Yeah, so... Yeah, Cloak and Dagger. Love these characters. I kind of wish I kind of wish people give a lot more love than they should. And of course, after they with Silvermane, and then basically have the following issue right here too, because it's a 2-parter. Yep. Also featuring Black Cat as well. And then pretty much okay, so after this 2-parter, okay. And then we have 145 where Whiplash becomes Backlash. Yep. Yeah, where Iron Man teams up with Spider-Man. Yeah. Becomes Backlash. Do not know the reason why. And by the way, the writer of this book is Tony Isabella. You're thinking, that's interesting. Why the heck would Tony Isabella write this issue? Honestly, I have no freaking idea. I believe this issue became him. Yes. Excuse me. Sadly, he's no longer alive. Backlash. No, he actually got killed off during the 3rd volume of Iron Man. Yep. And if you're really curious though about him, prior to appearing in this very issue of Marvel Team Up, his last appearance was back in Marvel 2-1 number 96. Yeah. Iron, meanwhile, last appeared in West Coast Avengers number 1. Yeah, and you're thinking, okay, 1984, the cover art's coded by Bob Layton. You're thinking, okay. Oh, by the way, the Iron Man in this book, it's not Tony, it's Rhodey. Yep, Rhodey is Iron Man in this book. Yep. So yeah, no Tony Stark. Interesting. And after the Amazing Spider-Man issue, thank you. They have 2 straight ones here, 256, 257. I'm thinking that might be it. Actually, no, there is 258 here as well. Which has Peter lose semi-all appearance with a Hobgoblin, because of course he's appearing here. If here comes Bagman. Yes, freaking Bagman. I gotta wear a bag on his head, Fantastic Four costume. And then the issue ends with basically Peter proposing Mary Jane Watson. But yeah, this book is fantastic. Love it. I'm going to give Spider-Man, The Complete Alien Saga Epic, Book 1, a 10 out of 10. And same thing for the issues of Spectacular. All right, next up is, well, let's see. Let's first start with some Ghost Rider because basically that's where issue 8 left off. Basically. Now, basically 26, 27, and 9 are part of this 4-part crossover where the X-Men Ghost Rider team up. By the way, the Ghost Rider in this issue is Dan Ketch. The book is written, these issues of Ghost Rider by Howard Mankey. Howard Mankey wrote a good chunk of this volume. I don't think he wrote the entire book per se. I'm not sure. Let's see. Here we go. Howard Mankey. Okay, so he actually had almost the entire volume except for issues 7 and 93. He wrote almost the entire. He wrote most of it. Yes, this is definitely set during his run. It's a very brief crossover they have with, of course, this book. Now, sadly enough, in the case of Jim Lee, who co-did this crossover with him, he would leave the book not long after this. Like, basically, with like 2 issues right after this crossover wrapped up, he's done with X-Men. And I think he would off to do Image after that. So, yeah, we have Ghost Rider team with the X-Men on the Brood, which is actually a really good story. I love it. Yep. But that's it. Basically, it starts issue 8, and then continue in Ghost Rider, and then basically go back to X-Men for issue 9, and back to issue 27 for Ghost Rider, and that's it for that storyline. Yep. Now, in the case of the last 2 issues of Jim Lee's run for the book, yes. So, basically, issue 10, we had the return of Longshot. Yes, Longshot. Yeah, Lobdell basically was writing this issue with Jim Lee. Yep. By the way, love the artwork in these issues. It's really good. Yeah. And also feature return of Mojo, of course. Yes, Mojo is in this issue. Yeah. It's just a standalone issue, per se. Yeah, Mojo second also appears in this issue as well. Yeah. He appears for these 2 issues, and that's it for him for the book. Yeah, and like I said, basically issue 11 is the last issue Jim Lee would ever do for this book. Yeah, and basically Dazzle disappears. She basically disappears for a while. She actually will be pregnant. Yes, Dazzle is pregnant. And it's suggested that Longshot is the child, and they do confirm it. And then basically in issue 12 of the book, they find someone called Hazard. Yeah, who got killed on issue X-Men Legacy for some reason. Yeah, mostly but he's the son of an old friend of Xavier's, and Xavier will go to his father's funeral. That's most what this issue is. And he's only here for this issue and the next issue that he pops up again, issue 38. It's a very interesting 2-parter. I at least got handed to it. And of course, this leads into basically the crossover with Extermination. You're thinking, okay, so what else to talk about here? Well, let's talk about basically the couple annuals. Yep, we're going to cap off this review with 2 annuals. First of which basically is X-Men number 1, which love this cover here. It's basically a classic style cover for X-Men. This is basically the first ever annual for this particular series. Yeah, this is part of the Kings of Pain storyline. And we're actually called the Scattershot. This was called Scattershot. Yes. The writer for this annual is Fabian DeCisa. The gallery, Villains Gallery, is written by Dan Slott. And the artwork here for this annual is done by Jim Lee. Anyways, yes, so mostly we deal with Mojo in the story here. That's most what this is. We also have appearance by Psylocke. Oh, I almost forgot. I'll talk about the issue 31, 35. So mostly basically Scattershot is mostly just a 2-part crossover between this book and Uncanny X-Men. where the X-Men deal with stuff related to Mojo World. Mm-hmm. Yep, it's deal with all Mojo stuff. Scattershot itself is only just in these two annuals in particular, and then pops up in X-Factor in number 7 and X-Force in number 1. Yep, and in number 2 basically they fight someone called Death Sponsors. Yep. Which, of course, basically no longer around. They got disbanded by the time Shatterstar showed up. Yeah, they were in this annual and X-Factor, and then they popped up in Shattershot, and that was it. Yep. But you're thinking, okay, what about issues 31 to 35? Now, the reason why I'm discussing these issues is because these issues are not in trade for some reason. I don't know why. Mostly put in the case of 31, 32, it's a two-parter involving Psylocke. Yes, it's basically Kanan and basically where Kanan dies and then she's basically brought back again. Mostly it's deal with a fallout, so they also do return of Spiral in the story arc here. But she's basically the main focus of these two issues. 33 is basically focused on Gambit. Yep, Gambit. And then 34 is basically focused on Beast. And then 35 mostly focuses on the return of Scott Summers and Jean Grey. Yes. There's also someone called Sunset Grace who appears in this very issue too. And this is her only appearance. Yep. Yeah, apparently they revealed their code names in the future. Red Dayspring and Slim Dayspring. Yeah, it's mostly put in a way a start of a mini-series that will explore what Scott Summers and Jean Grey are up to during their honeymoon. You know what they did during their honeymoon? They went to the future to briefly raise Scott's son in the future. That's how they spent their honeymoon. Not to something romantic. To raise Scott's son with Madeline Pryor. Yep. But in the case of issues overall, I give the four-parter, well, basically X-Men number 9 and the two Ghost Rider issues, I give those basically a 9 out of 10. I give them all a 10, a 9 out of 10. The two-parter involving Mojo, I give that basically also a 9. 12 and 13 featuring that Hazard character, I give that one 8.5. He seems like a basically low-key character. 31, 32, give those a 9. Yeah, basically all these main issues are 9. The two annuals, I give those basically a 9.5. They're really good. Yep. I'm ending it here because it's basically I'm going for 40 minutes now. So, excuse me. That's going to be pretty much it, particular review. Oh, by the way, I should get final thoughts on Jim Lee's very brief run he had on X-Men Volume 2. These issues are amazing. He did 11 straight issues for X-Men, then he left. Yep, he left. Yeah, sadly, it's very strange though the fact that basically Jim Lee just leaves after only 11 issues on this book as the artist. Yeah, there's also backup feature issue number 11 for Maverick. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the case of X-Men, like I said, yeah, basically once issue 11 wrapped up, he did Strikers. That was last year he did for this that book in particular. He did do the annual. Yeah, he did the first annual. And after Strike Fight, he left Marvel Comics. And this was in 1982. This is basically left form Image. And then he came back roughly about 5 years later to do Fantastic Four, which he did the first 6 issues of that book. In issue of Iron Man, he did a cross of X-Men for one shot, and that was it for him in Marvel. You're thinking, really? That was it? Now you might be asking, Nick, have you covered anything for Jim Lee at Marvel? No, I haven't. Mostly I've just covered his Uncanny X-Men issues and the X-Men Volume 2, particularly, and that's it. Oh yeah, I also covered Fantastic Four issues in Iron Man. Yep, but in the case of X-Men Volume 2, his run was actually pretty good. I love his artwork there. Okay, so that's a particular review. Next up, Ultraman. And in their comic corner, okay? Next video.